Hey, 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 hey. It's my time. Yes. Welcome, welcome. How you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me get Miss Jonica in here. Welcome, everybody. We're going to have a good conversation today. How are you? Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for coming in the room. Thank you so much for coming in on the room. We're going to have a conversation today. I'm trying to make sure I get my guest on in here today. All right, all right, all right. Miss Jonica, send me a request so you can join. Send me a request so you can join. Send me a request so you can join the room. It says you're unable to join, Jonica, so make sure that I am on your right page. I know you have 2 pages, so send me. Okay, I see it. There you go. There you go. I want to make sure I get you in the room. Ladies and gentlemen, we're so excited today to come before you today with Dr. Jonica Rowland.
Hey.
How are you?
Doing well. Trying to stay warm and ready.
I know
so
that's
I
right.
can go when Crystal shouts.
Well, listen, you know,
Shout, Crystal.
I hope that you are well today, because you know in North Carolina we have a state of emergency and everybody's trying to prepare. But you know what? The conversation today is kind of a conversation for people to help them from being in a state of emergency. Would you agree?
Yes, I do agree.
You know, so before we go any further, I just want to say thank you to all those coming in, and we will ask you if you're here live to let us know. If you come back and do a replay, put pound replay, because we know some people will come back later on because they're preparing to make sure that they have all their supplies. But the conversation today is insurance, and I have this young lady here who has so much experience. She's actually my insurance agent, and she is an agent for different types of insurance. And I was so blessed, y'all, because many of you may not know, but I also wrote a book. I wrote a book that has something to do with insurance. It's called Final Wishes. It's Final Wishes, which is transition from life to death. And she's actually in the foreword of my book. And the book is found on Amazon, and you can search it by the title and my name, Final Wishes by Crystal Bodie Smith. And what I did was I took the situations that I went through with the passing of my father, my mother, and my brother, and all the things that I learned, and I put them in this book. But I am not an insurance agent, guys, but Jonica Rowland is. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to give you some preliminaries. We're going to prepare you for what's to come next week, because next week we're going to go in depth. Next week you're going to be able to come back with your questions, so we're going to give you some time to gather that information and really be able to come back to us with what you need, all right? Because we know we didn't give you that much advance notice this time. So this is like a promo live, because we want to make sure we do what we need to do. We had an awesome time yesterday. Go back and see the replay about how to be unapologetically you. But Dr. Rowland, tell the people your name, tell the people where you're from, tell the people your background in insurance and what you would like to bring to the table to be able to share with them when we really go in depth.
Well, hello, I'm Dr. Jonica Rowland, and that's Dr. B.A., Doctor of Business Administration, and we focus on social impact, because careers, business, society, it has to work for our youth to grow up to be our future leaders. Okay, and it's all about legacy, succession planning. Whether you have a business, a career, you plan to retire, there's one thing we all are going to do. I'm sorry, the sound sounds crackly. Let me know if this is better. There's one thing we all are going to do. We are going to pass away. And some of us are going to pay taxes, okay? And hopefully this sounds better. So in regards to that, we have to plan. Like I said, it's all about legacy. No one wants to pass away and leave their family bills. We're not just talking about burial. We can leave money that goes on to the next generation, next generation, next generation. And yes, they say, go ahead and make investments, leave money there. But if it's a down market, you may not have much money to leave if that market fails you. But life insurance is one benefit you will be able to leave anyone without having to pay taxes. Just keep voting and keep up with your legislation so they won't try to tax life insurance later. Wow. But this is one benefit we're going to leave. And we're not just talking about leaving some money for burial, $10,000 for burial, okay? If you can afford to do more, you do more. You pay a little so that you can leave a lot later, okay? And so that's how I look at insurance. Whether it's a cancer expense policy, I'll go over that. Whether it's a critical illness expense policy. Whether you have cash value on your life insurance. Whether you have different riders on your life insurance, such as disability income insurance, accidental death on common carrier insurance. And we've all seen this on the news where people experience death, God rest his soul, Kobe Bryant, helicopter. That's a common carrier, okay? Planes, trains, okay? Those are common carriers. When death comes, we don't expect it. Even if they say someone has 2 months to live, when it hits, it hits. And we're seeing it in the minority community, and I love your book cover, Crystal, and I'm glad you had written the book, okay? Final Wishes, because it denotes diversity. We've seen the GoFundMe pages,
yes.
Okay?
Oh, my goodness.
We've seen the businesses close
yes.
because the business owner became disabled,
yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Or the family didn't have the means to carry the business on.
Right.
And so I'm very passionate. I'm very passionate about this. I started in 2005 as a health insurance agent.
Okay.
First degree applied sociology. We'll get a little bit more details next week. I'll answer your questions. And I noticed that the minority community is affected a lot, whether it be Native American, African American, or even poor whites. Okay? And I don't mean just poor white people. I'm just meaning poor, period.
Right.
Okay? Right. I'm seeing that it is affected a lot because wealth is not being transferred.
No, it's not.
So when you look at life insurance, you think of love, not, ooh, they'll bury me if I'm gone. I'm not around, so why do I have to worry about it? You worry about your legacy. How do you want to be remembered? Okay? How do you want to be remembered? And so 2005, I'm in business owners' homes, okay, or offices, finding out that they not only have health insurance, and imagine 2005, they couldn't afford health insurance, but they had no life insurance, no disability income insurance. How the bills going to be paid when you're gone? And if you're disabled, okay, if you are a business owner and you are disabled and you have not put into Social Security like you need to, you're going to get a little bitty disability check, okay?
That's right. That's right.
And then you ask the dependency on the government to approve your disability income, and I won't say yours. Someone has to get that approved to get disability, okay? Sometimes they have to go to an attorney to get disability money, and then they're going to get a portion. Well, they can't work for free, okay? So we have to think about ways to get out of the mentality of, ooh, the system is robbing us. No, let's make sure generations to come is not in the system and not depending on the system. And we can do that by having life insurance.
And can I say
we can do that.
Can I say something like that? Not
it's
just
your
life,
show.
Not just life. No, but I just wanted to interject. It's not just life insurance. You said something you said life is not just for burying. A lot of times people think it's just for making sure we have enough to put them away. But like you said, it's not. It's about having money for them to live afterwards. And a lot of people don't think about that. Good morning to those just coming in. Thank you so much for joining. This is Dr. Jonica Rowland. She has a wealth of experience in insurance, in the different types of insurance. And we're going over some stuff. Now, we want to let you know, we're not going to go in depth today. We may be able to address 1 or 2 questions today if it's a burning desire and you want to answer it based on what you heard. But we're going to come back next Friday at 12, and we're really going to go into it. We wanted to put this on your calendar, get this in your mindset, because we know this is not a conversation people want to have. People don't want to talk about that. But Dr. Jonica Rowland is going to tell you about some things. We're going to go over those basic things you need to know about military information, personal information, just information you need to have, you know, and we're going to talk about some things that you just might not have thought about. I'm going to share some things that I went through and some things that people don't think about. One of the things I always tell them, Dr. Jonica, is that they don't think about when they have to go back home. I had a young lady yesterday where I live who said to me she was moving because she was getting ready to go take care of her mother. She was leaving here to go move in with her mother. And I convinced her on that, but, you know, caregiving is dear to my heart. But here's the thing. In my mind, I didn't stop her because I didn't really know her. But what I was thinking about is I wanted to say to her, make sure you go look at your mother's policy. Because sometimes when we go back and we take care of our grandparents and our parents and our elderly, we don't think to look at the policy. We ask them, do they have one? But we don't look at it. And then come to find out sometimes, unfortunately, if something happens, they were aged out. And the policy had expired because they outlived the policy. So that's one thing that we want to make sure people know is to go back and look at those things, revisit, because when people pass away, sometimes in the family, they don't go back, they don't redo the beneficiaries. There's just little things that we want to go over, guys, to make sure that y'all are not missing about insurance, you know. So, and we're going to talk about other ways for you to have money, like you said, so you can leave generational wealth. We're going to talk about some things specifically. So is there anything, Jonica, that you want them to be prepared to maybe go look at so when they come back next week, if they have a question, they can be ready? What would be something that if some people's here or the people that come back and do a replay, what's something that they can go glance at or consider that they might be dealing with, and they can bring it back to us next Friday if they have a question? What's something that they can gather that information on?
Okay. Being that my mom was murdered when I was 10, and I lost my father and brother in 2018, 60 days apart, I can truly tell you about my life experience, not just my experience in the industry. What you need to look at is your own insurance policy. If it's a term insurance policy, you want to look at the ways you can convert it to a permanent policy, which would be a whole life or universal life insurance policy, because you don't want to age out. And most of those policies can go on to age 120 years old. So you do want to look at that. You want to look on the policies to see if there is accidental death, disability income insurance, critical illness. If someone has a life-threatening cancer, heart attack, or some stroke, that critical illness can be used as a lump sum to help cover expenses.
Correct.
There's cancer expense if someone has cancer. Okay, it may cover certain expenses, such as you live in one state, you may want to travel to another state. I won't say you. Someone lives in one state, they may want to travel to another state because they heard of this great doctor. Okay, athletes, they travel to Europe and vice versa to get treatment. And that's what a cancer expense or critical illness expense can do. You also want to make sure there's a terminal illness benefit rider on there. The terminal illness benefit rider allows you to use the face amount. The face amount is the amount of insurance while living. In some cases, if the doctor say someone has 6 months to live, they get to use that insurance policy right away. Such as I have a friend, and her daughter was ill. And I just said, do you have life insurance? She said, well, Jonica, I don't need any more life insurance on her. I said, no, you need to go ahead and see if there's a terminal illness benefit rider on there.
Wow.
Okay, so I didn't ask her how much life insurance was or whatnot, but she did. She called the insurance company, okay, which was one of those supplemental insurance companies people get on the job. Okay, and speaking about the job, when they leave the job, they can take the insurance with them. That's something you want to check on the workplace, if you can take your insurance with you. But anyway, she called. There was a terminal illness benefit rider on there. She was able to leave her job, take care of her daughter. Her daughter got well. Then the mother got sick. So since she took that maximum amount, she was able to take care of them for 2 years. Without having to be as concerned about money. Of course, she might not be able to get the hair and the nails done, but the electric bill was paid, the food was paid, the travel time, because her mother lived in another state, and she had to relocate her. All of that was paid, okay? So the thing is to, let's put some cushion there so we don't have to drain our savings, okay? So we don't have to drain our retirement, all right? Because I've seen plenty of people retire. They either retire with money or the health was bad, or the health was good and they had no money. Okay, so they had to depend on SSI and whatnot. And if you do, those insurance companies are going to come back. Not the insurance company. The government is going to look back and see that you had some assets. Okay. And so you had to be poor to get some services. So if you're cushioning yourself right with the proper insurance benefits, you be fine. If you have cash value and a relative passes away, okay, they have no insurance, you may be able to use some of that cash value to pay for their funeral versus draining your savings. So there's so much we can do with insurance that people do not know. And that's what we're here for. That's why I am a business and financial consultant. Yes, we consult on insurance benefits, but we consult holistically. Let's look at the whole picture. What are your dreams? What are your goals? And one of them is not to be poor. I'm sorry, Crystal.
No. I want you to get it all in. So I hope that you guys wrote down those things that she said, because she gave some very key points. One of the things I want to go back to, because I experienced it, that a lot of people miss. And again, I'm being transparent. We're being transparent about some things we went through because we don't want you to go through it. Now, she told you to go back to the job, and what did you want a job? And guys, I'm going to tell you this. Stop saying you can't afford. Like some people, Jonica, they don't take advantage of the benefits when the job offers it. They'll bypass on it because they want more money. You can't afford not to get it. You think you can't afford to have it, but what you can't afford is not to get that insurance. But here's the thing I want you to know. If you left the company and you worked somewhere for years, this happened with my brother. My brother was in New York City, which is a common law state. And he had been in a relationship for a long time, probably close to 20 years. But long story short, when he left his company, needless to say, as he was getting ill later on, as he got ill, he wanted to leave some things to his parents and his siblings. He forgot that he had his girlfriend on his policy at the job. So, guys, sometimes when we leave a job, we don't go back and revisit that information and edit that information. Same thing goes if somebody passes away. You have a child or someone who passes away, and you split your beneficiary 33, 33, or 50-50. And sometimes people forget, you have a stepchild because you remarried. There's so many different things that we want you to think about with this. So we're trying to jog your memory and let you know that we're going to come back next week. And I don't know, depending upon the response, we'll determine how often we'll do this, maybe once a month or something, because we know with the pandemic going on, we want you to have a pandemic, and we know that you have to be prepared. So we want to prepare you. So we're going to come back as frequently as we can based on your demand, and even without the demand, because we know there's such thing as replay. And we're going to record this so that we can reshare this on different platforms, and so that you can tell your friends, tell your children, tell those young children having babies, they need to come on and jump on and see what we have. And tell them to get this book, because in this book, I have things where they can write things out, they can leave things, they can leave instructions, because a lot of times we don't have conversations at home, guys. We have
Mm-hmm.
to have conversations. The book is called Final Wishes because we want you to have a conversation so that if somebody catches COVID, Lord knows I just got a call. Somebody caught COVID 3 days ago in New York and Wagner Projects in Harlem. We are devastated. He got sick. 3 days later, he's gone. He didn't even retire. He didn't even retire yet, man. But my point is, if somebody gets sick and they get on a machine, you need to know what their wishes are. Do they want to be on the machine? You know, you want to know, do they want to be resuscitated or not? These are questions you want to ask, because the reason why I say ask the question is it's so much easier when you go back to the child or to the other person in their family and you go back out in the waiting room and you say, I'm getting ready to pull this plug. They don't look at you like you're the villain if you tell them you're honoring that person's wishes. It makes sense? But if you tell them you made a choice and you took your own personal mind and you just came up with your own conclusion that you feel as though they suffered and you want them not to suffer no more because you decided that you're going to pull the plug, they're not feeling that. But if you say, he or she asked me not to let them be a vegetable, they said they don't want to live like that. They said if this should ever happen, that they don't want to be on the machine. That's the family receives that totally different. So again, we're just giving you some things to think about. We're giving you some things to think about. We're just here today for about 30 minutes to give you. We got about 8 more minutes, and we're just giving you some nuggets. Jonathan told you some things to go look at, so when you come back next week, if you have some questions, you can have that. Now, I want to ask you one more thing, Jonica. With there being a pandemic, with COVID-19 going on, is there anything that you could share regarding that maybe people may not be aware of, that they need to know in regards to insurance when it comes to this all these unexpected deaths and things, or anything that we can share on to tell people to be aware of before they come back next week as well?
Okay. Real quick, I was one of those where the doctor called me from New York City to ask if my father would want to be resuscitated after the third heart attack. And I said, yes, because we had that discussion. He said, yes, resuscitate him because he know they will find a cure. Well, he didn't make it, but it gave me peace to know that I asked the question. So ask the questions. Though, if someone's having COVID, don't wait until they get to the hospital because you may not be able to go into the room. But prior to COVID, let's start looking at the beneficiaries. I offer insurance reviews, and those are complimentary. You look at the beneficiaries. Some people have beneficiaries that are deceased. And just know that if they do not have a contingent beneficiary, which will basically be the second, third person in line, that money is going to the estate. And then it has to be divided up. That holds up the burial process. Okay? So make sure you're looking at those beneficiaries. Look and see if they have cash value. I'm one of those who believe people are going to recover from COVID. I did. Okay? And those bills, their bills still have to be paid. Okay? So what I'm trying to say, if you have some elderly parents, especially you single people, if you're not married, I'm not knocking single people, but if you're not married, you better go ahead and get that power of attorney, the healthcare power of attorney. Go get those things, your healthcare directives.
Yes, the proxy.
Find someone you can trust.
That's right.
Even now, when you go to the doctor's office, right, you can't do anything after your loved ones die. Thanks for putting that in there. Even when you go to someone add a comment
and somebody
right there.
Somebody asked the question,
no.
What happens if there's a policy but you can't find the paperwork after your loved one died? Okay, that's what you just said.
Okay, I'm sorry. I get a little passionate here. Okay, let's get to that real quick. When you go to your doctor's office or do a hospital visit, go ahead and give permission to have your records released. Okay, so the family can have access to your records to make sound decisions. Okay, So don't overlook that paperwork when you go to the doctor or the hospital.
That's right.
You know, I got 3 children, well 4, and a husband, and all the names are down there. Yes, give them all my business. Give it all to them.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
If
That makes
there's
sense.
a policy, go to the state where they live to see if the Department of Insurance can help you locate that policy. Go to their bank statements to see if any withdrawals have been done. Now, some people pay quarterly, annually. You may have to look through several bank statements. Get into that. Let's try to get people passwords. My daddy loved paper, so I'm glad he had paper. I don't advise everything to be online. Have some paper somewhere. Print something off at least once a year, so that you'll know about someone's bank statement. You know about their bills, okay? And I'm sorry, I'm trying not to have any flashbacks here.
I know.
My grandmother died. My grandmother died when I was carrying my first child. Okay, so this death, it's going to happen. I'm sorry to hear that too. Yeah, someone else has died. So I'll be quiet here. We don't want to cry. We just want to be prepared.
Right.
You yourself have money set aside if you're going to be a caregiver. You may not have cash value policies or whatnot, but if you're a business owner, let's go ahead and have things set aside. Let's prepare so that we can move forward, whether you're business owner or not. Caregivers.
And not even
people are going to live. LIVE. That's what we want to do, LIVE. But we don't, caregivers die before the person they're caring for because they're not prepared. So I can go on and on and on. And that's why I'm in the position I am now. I thought I was going to be a nutritionist. But anyway, I'm going to be quiet because I can go on and on and on. All right. So to sum it up.
We love it. We love the passion. We love it because that's what we need, because the people going to come back to us. Guys, make sure you tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. Share this. You know, people be sharing when the new Jordans come out. People share when they want to get a new pocketbook or somebody's a new series. You know, Housewives is on TV. Come on now. Share this. Share this. Tell them that Crystal Bodie Smith and Dr. Jonica Rowland is going to be giving you this information out here that can save your life. We're going to be at 12 o'clock next Friday, and we're going to take a poll then to see how often we want to come back, once a month, twice a month, whatever, because we know this is information that's needed, okay? And then we're going to share the live on different platforms so you can take it. You have our permission to share it. Follow us. If you're not following Dr. Jonica Rowland, hit the arrow on the top of the page. Follow her. If you need to DM her and ask her something that you don't want to put, and there's a question. You see the question on the bottom of the screen. There's a question. So if you ever have a question that you don't want everyone to see, you can put the question in the question box on the bottom, and then we'll see it. So next Friday when you come back, we'll see your questions, and we're gonna dive into this. Now I'm gonna go back to my book, y'all. It's $9.99. It's not about the $10. I didn't write this for $10. I could care less about the $10. But when she said have something written, there's pages in here where you can write information. You can tell them those passwords. You can tell them who to call. You can tell them what to do. Please hear us. Hear us, guys. We're giving you our hearts because of the losses that we have had. We're sharing it with you because we don't want you to go through what we went through. So we're going to close this out today, and I'm going to let Dr. Rowland give some closing comments. We're going to close this out today. Feel free to share this live. Again, make sure you mark your calendar for next Friday at 12 o'clock. We're going to come back. We're going to go through some things. Specifically, have a pen and paper. Have a pen and paper. And don't think if you don't catch it all that you missed it, because you can replay the video. I'm going to share it. You can replay the video on your own at your own pace, and you can write stuff down. Okay? That's the beauty of the Instagram replay, and then I'm sharing it on Facebook. I'm sharing it on LinkedIn. I'm sharing it on TikTok. Dr. Jonica Rowland is going to share it too. So, Dr. Rowland, any closing comments you want to make before we end this and then go on and let everybody go on with their day? But I hope y'all got something out of this. If you have, please Put something in the comments. Tell us, yes, I got value. If you got value out of this, before people put value. I know more people are going to come in, but tell somebody, bring somebody back with you, especially those young parents that spend all that money on the sneakers and everything and don't put money in insurance. Bring them all back. Dr. Rowland?
All right. He said the young parents and all. It is our social responsibility. That's my research. Retirement, transferring wealth, focusing on social impact. It's our social responsibility to leave a legacy. It's our social responsibility to make sure our children and our family have a fighting chance. Everyone's not going to have successful adult children, okay? And therefore, put some grandchildren down as beneficiaries as well. Let's be prepared. Let's review your policies. Let's make sure, especially those who have young children, let's make sure the right beneficiaries are there, because they're going to be the ones to take care of your young children, okay? And make sure you have benefits for yourself, cash set aside, maybe cash value policies for yourself. So when a loved one dies, if they don't have insurance, you can use some of that money from there. And also have time to grieve. I've taken off 2 to 3 years to grieve. Okay. I just cut back, but there was some funds there for me to take off time to grieve. Yes. Grief is killing our people. Okay. Depression. It was doing all this before COVID. It's just in the African American community is a disproportionate rate. We're the minorities. Well, Native American and Puerto Ricans were more so the minorities, but we were the first minorities, okay? And the thing is how are we going to give our people a fighting chance? And one way to do it is to make sure we're handling our affairs. The will is intact. The insurance is in place. And life insurance benefits, that's the one thing you'll have control over when you're gone. Who are you leaving it to? How are you going to give generations to come the opportunity to go to college if they want to go? College, paid for college, okay? So let's not think a $10,000 policy. Let's think maybe a $500,000, but start somewhere.
Wow, that's excellent. Guys, we both put our information in here for you, and we want to thank you so much for coming out. Make sure that if you go out there and you go search for the book, you search by my name, and make sure you come back and join us next week. We want to thank you, Dr. Rowland, for popping in, and we look forward to what's getting ready to take place next week. We look forward to what's getting ready to take place. We've been planning this for a while. I'm glad that we're finally getting around to it, because I just couldn't take it anymore watching all these unexpected deaths and all these people. I couldn't take it anymore. I knew it was our responsibility to come and do it, because I see all this other stuff people out here on the internet talking about, and I'm like, man, they ain't talking about what they really need to be talking about, and that is
That's
this.
right.
So we need to. This is not a popular subject, guys. Talking about preparing for somebody's death is not a popular subject, but I'm telling you, it's not fair not to have this conversation with your children. It's not fair to leave them in a predicament to where they're in shock and they don't know what to do. It's not fair to leave them in a point where there's no stuff organized for them. The policy is not set. There's no information. I had to do this. I had to go into my brother's house and shamble and go through stuff and figure stuff out. I couldn't answer no questions. I had to tell him I'll be back. I had to go get me a binder and put stuff in order. I had to go search. It took me a couple of days to do that. You don't want to do that. Don't do that to nobody. Have stuff laid out for them. Have the conversation. It's not easy. But we'll be back. I'm Crystal Bodie Smith. This is Dr. Jonica Rowland. We'll see you here same time next Friday, right back on our channels. Be prepared. Bring a friend. Bring your paper and pencil, because you don't want to miss this. We definitely have something for you. That's going to be Friday the 28th at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. That's Eastern Standard Time. So make sure, feel free to tag us and share this, and have a blessed day. We are excited to have you come back and share this information with you. Dr. Rowland, I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Stay safe, everybody,
Thank you.
and
Thank
come
you.
on back and check us out. Listen, I will be back Thursday. I'll have the #1 gospel artist, Maurice Griffin, from the charts. He will be my guest on next Thursday. I'll be posting that. So Thursdays is when I have my segments, y'all. Thursdays. Fridays is going to be more like the serious stuff. When I come on Friday, that's serious business. Thursday is like I'm letting people share their story and stuff. But Friday right now, when I come Fridays and sometime in the evening, it's going to be special editions, okay? But we look forward to seeing. Bye-bye, y'all. Until next time, have an amazing day and keep hope alive. And make sure you tell somebody you love them today. Bye-bye. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.